Audit and Finance Committee meeting to order.
Come up.
I believe we have a quorum. Would the members go around and say who they are, please, for the record? Starting with Mr. Bergdorf from Colony.
Paul Bergdorf from Latham, Loudonville, and the Village of Colony.
Mark Grimm from District 29, which is the Carmen Road, Western Avenue area of Gilderland.
Ray Joyce, City of Albany.
Charlie Dawson, Chair from Bethlehem. Wanda?
Oh, Wanda Bellingham, 3rd Legislative District, North Albany, West Hill, West Albany, bordering Manans, and also bordering Colony.
Don't play Albany.
I believe we have a quorum. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting, please? Mr. Joyce, seconded by Mr. Bergdorf. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those unanimous. We have a number of items here which are going to be tabled, laid aside, and then I would like to jump ahead to the end to the end of the agenda because the controller is here. Have a seat, Lisa.
Hi, is it my turn?
No, not yet. Not the hot seat. Not yet.
I made it.
All right. So item number 1. Is this table at the request of the sponsor? Not here.
Sponsor's not present.
Sponsor's not present, that's table number 2. Sponsor's not present. Number 3, same, sponsor's not present. Number 4, sponsor's not present. So table number 5, table also, that's local law R public hearing. And number 6 is the Gilbane resolution, that needs to be tabled.
Is that 6?
So we've done 1 through 6, so remind, and 7 also? That's
correct.
I'm sorry, table, yeah, the chair can't be here tonight because he's got an important meeting in the neighborhood. And then we'll jump ahead to Mr. Connors, Controller Connors, item number 24, finalizing the accounting of the 2018 Albany County budget. I'm glad to see that there's many fewer pages than there have been in the past years.
Well, everybody worked very hard on it, Chairman and members, and we do appreciate it is a lower number. These are the accounting entries that have to be made at the end of the year. We've closed for the year end, and in efforts to be brief, so not hold you up, I'll take any questions that you may have.
How come you do this so late into the following fiscal year?
The reason for
Why does it take so much time?
the reason for doing this at this point in time is that because of transactions that have not yet occurred that are from the previous year, you want to get as much information through and get all of the things paid that are actually expenditures for the previous year.
So these are items that from the 2018
that's
budget,
correct.
which may have been encumbered, but the actual cash disbursements were not yet made.
That's correct.
And they carried over into this fiscal year.
That's
So
correct.
this is looking back to 2018. Questions
sir.
from any of the members? Mr. Bergdorf?
So this closes the chapter on 2018?
Yes, it does. Yes.
Can you give us a summary of where we are in terms of what we budgeted, what we expended, and what our surplus was, and where the sales tax numbers
No,
came out?
but we'll do that. We'll have that for you at the May meeting. We're doing, now, the first step is to close transactions, so departments aren't making encumbrances or trying to spend 2018 money. So now you bring all this information together, and we'll present a report to you that we do every year at the
Okay.
May meeting.
So the data exists, it's just the
Well,
calculations don't exist?
Calculations don't exist yet, nor has everything been finalized. We're gonna have to go through this with all the departments to see if there's anything that that there's a problem with. We deal with the Division of Budget on this sometimes too. You aren't gonna have the finalized numbers in this until the May meeting.
Okay, but I guess where I'm a little confused is if you tell me these are the final adjustments.
No, these are the adjustments.
Then how are you
That's correct.
meeting with department heads to try to see if
Because
they have issues with it?
If there's an issue or anything, we've closed that, and if there's any issues that come up, we'll deal with that with they and the Department of Management and Budget. The actual close of the year doesn't mean that we've done all the accounting transactions. It doesn't mean that everything has been encumbered properly. This stuff all has to be done. It takes time. It can't be done. It's not a click of a button that does that.
So if I may, Mr. Bergdorf, so to summarize, I'm seeing a bottom line number here of $12 million roughly.
Right.
So we're down on one side and up on another.
Right.
We're all working within what was
Yes.
appropriated, we're just making changes in
That's correct.
actual disbursements.
Yeah, these are internal transfers.
They're
Yes.
But you have leeway within a certain amount, administrative flexibility, it's still within what the legislature appropriated.
Correct.
Just want to make that clear. When will the sales tax for the last quarter of 2018, when will that information be available? Isn't that April?
Yes, around the
we don't have to
19th
wait
of
till-
April. April 19th, thereabouts.
April 19th.
Yeah, 17th, 18th, 19th.
So we would be able to have that at the next meeting of
Yes,
this committee.
you would.
I would like that presented,
Yes.
if you might,
And-
if somebody can present that.
Very good.
That'll be prior to the May meeting when you do your annual update. So we won't
Yes.
know how much is rolled into surplus, into the
Yes,
designated
you'll
fund
know
balance.
what the surplus is gonna be
We
in the
won't know
May
that
meeting.
at the April meeting, we will have to wait until.
Correct, to the May
later.
meeting. That's correct.
Okay, does anybody have any questions on the changes in there? Otherwise, I'd like to have a motion to move this.
Motion moved.
Mr. Clay, second by Mr. Joyce, all those in favor?
Right.
Opposed? Unanimous, thank you very much, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members.
Thank you. Yeah, have a good night.
Mr. Marcel, would you want to come up and,
Mr. Chairman?
for the sheriff? I think we're, since we tabled number 6, which relates to the sheriff, we're gonna jump to number 10? Is
Correct.
that correct?
Yes, there's a
Okay.
handout.
And there's a handout, I understand.
I think it's a spreadsheet that shows where the revenue is coming from.
So this is a budget amendment to the current fiscal year.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, does everybody have it? There's not a lot there to look at. Give me a second. So it has to do with, we're increasing automobiles,
We're buying an ambulance.
buying an ambulance. This is not the emergency we're talking about for the rail trail.
No.
That one's coming next, Mr. Grimm. So go ahead, Tom.
So, there was the backup, the letter, I believe, dated March 5th, 2019, from the sheriff that indicates that we're going to purchase an ambulance for the, in conjunction with the Oneskirk Volunteer Fire Department in Clarksville. It's a '07. We're taking the money from our revenues that we've received from a program with the EMS and ambulances to purchase this vehicle. So it's budget neutral.
Questions from members?
Can I just-
Wanda?
yes.
Mr. Willingham?
Okay, I think I know the answers to this, but what does the sheriff do with ambulances?
So we provide the EMS services primarily to the hill towns and some of the other where we're under contract. So if there's an ambulance needed, the emergency call, that will be done through the sheriff's department in the hill towns.
Also in Bethlehem.
In Bethlehem, we contract with, I think Queens we contract with as well. Albany has its own services. Colony has its own services, but some of the smaller towns within the county contract with the sheriff's department.
So I notice here it says volunteer fire, that's where we're getting it from.
That's who we're purchasing this from.
Yeah, so, has nothing to do with it.
Okay. Any other questions from members? You have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Berger, second by Ms. Willingham, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good to see you again.
That was much easier than the last time we had to. Thank you very much. I think we're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to go back to Mr. Feeney's on item pricing, I think it is, number 8. Dennis, you anything you want to say about this? We have to have a public hearing on this.
Yeah, we gotta have a public hearing. Does anybody want to
So I guess
give
it's,
a little background or?
so it's number 8 that we're dealing on. This is Resolution 119, public hearing on proposed local law C
Right.
for 2019. Just give me the
Yeah.
number.
Back in 2011, we passed an item pricing law, which put into place requirements that individual retailers were required to individually price items in their store. But also at the same time, we put in a waiver program where you could apply to get a waiver if you paid a $3,000 fee, and you could have a scanner put in. What's happened is the fees so high that really only some of the bigger stores have the scanners. And even some of them haven't done it because it's just, the waiver fee is too much. So what we're doing now is we're trying to do kind of a sliding scale based on the size of the store for the waiver fee, and actually even reduce a little bit the amount of scanners you have to have in each store. And, we hope that it's something that we'll get more waiver fees in, could generate, I don't know, anywhere between 50, 100,000 for the county.
So it will generate revenue of between 50 and 100,000.
Right, and some of the smaller stores would be able to do it, put in the scanners. I never really, I went to Price Chopper today, because I never really knew what this was, but they have it around the store, you go, you put it under the scanner, and it comes up on the screen, tells you the price, and a Price Chopper tells you what discount you would get to if you have an Advantage card.
Located through the store.
Yeah.
Rather than having to go to the checkout to do that.
Yeah, you get it like, it was at the end of a couple of the different aisles.
Yeah.
Well, we did this in 2011 and there was a problem with the scanner's accuracy, as I recall, also.
I,
So
can't
now,
speak to that.
So we're trying to encourage items to be priced or scanned? Or which is it that we're trying to encourage?
I think it's trying to use more scanners,
Scanned,
yeah.
but also have a item priced as well.
No, this will actually,
You're gonna go in the supermarket and there's not gonna be any items.
well, it would be like today when I went to Price Chopper, the price is right on the shelf, but you don't have a sticker on it with the price. That's what this would make the
Yeah,
smallest.
yeah, just as a shopper, I've followed this for a long time. Sometimes you can't tell what the price is, even, it might be on the shelf
Right.
and whatever. So all of them have to do a better job of making it clear what the price is. And sometimes it'll have a price and you get the checkout, and it's not the price they say it is.
Right.
And I watch like a hawk. I don't know if everybody watches like a hawk like I do. I think there's definitely some improvement opportunity here.
Yeah, well, that's kind of a little bit of a different issue, but, than what this is, so. Just looking to move to the public hearing.
Mr. Clay, right?
Yep.
Dennis, Mr. Clay, right?
No, there was somebody else who had a question too, right?
Well, I thought I needed to introduce myself to you. so.
Yeah, wait, you're Mr. Clay Albany, I think.
Dennis, how are we judging this? Is it by the size of the store?
Yep. Size of the store.
Okay.
So 3,000, under 3,000 square feet, the waiver fee would be 500. 3,000 to 10,000 square feet, it would be 750. It's a sliding scale. 10,000 to 30,000 would be 1,000. 30,000 to 90,000 would be 1,500, and more than 90,000 would be 1,750.
Thank you.
Other questions? I believe we have to amend the date on this.
We need to amend the date to April 23rd, which will be the next public hearing date.
It now says Tuesday, March 26th, I believe, so we need to amend that to April 20, what did you say?
23rd.
23rd, April 23rd, okay?
Okay.
Do I have any other questions? Motion to move, Mr. Joyce, second, Mr. Bergdorf, or Mr. Clay? Motion to amend first, Mr. Clay, seconded by Mr. Joyce. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous? Motion to report, Mr. Clay, seconded by Mr. Joyce to approve. All those in favor?
Right.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank
And
you.
the next item is we have to hold off on.
Yeah, table that.
We have to table that.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we'll move on to number 11. This is, we've already done the change in the capital program, I believe, so now the capital plan, so this is the 3.5 million for the repairs themselves.
Correct, we're just requesting the bonding for the additional $3.5 million to do the repairs to the Times Junior garage.
Questions? We've been over this, the importance of preventive maintenance and knowing what we got coming down the road, and, okay? Anything happening in your committee?
We are, I have talked with the majority and minority council about drafting something on actually capital asset
Capital
management.
assets.
I've talked to the commissioner, told him when we had it draft, we'd like to sit down with him and make sure it makes sense from an implementation point of view. So I'm hoping that probably in the next 45 days, we'll have something that we would be willing to put forth for at least the first round of discussions.
I look forward to it.
Okay. Do I have a motion? Mr. Berger, second, Mr.
Yep.
Joyce, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, thanks.
Thank you, sir.
We're done. Mr. Commissioner, you're gonna come up and
Yes.
speak for Mr. Slacky?
Mr.
Number 12,
Director
amending
Slacky
the
is-
2019 Department of Residential Healthcare Facilities Budget Administrative Adjustments.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Slacky couldn't be here for the rest of the members. He's having, taking care of his wife tonight. She had a little bit of emergency stuff to go on, so he fortunately apologizes. Any questions I can do to
Thank you
help
for
this?
coming on his behalf.
The basis of this amendment is to fix the resident care coordinator position so we can have a qualified individual generate the MDSs. The
Stands
MDS,
for, it's a very important thing. We're gonna-
minimum data set.
Minimum data set.
56 pages is apparently the federal minimum, so this position is key to reimbursement. It generates all of your scores, which affects your case mix, which ultimately is your reimbursement rates. It's one of the only factors that you can actually improve your reimbursement rate. That and the capital, of course, component that we all are venturing in with the additions. And
So have we been succeeding on improving our reimbursement rate?
Yes, it has been significant. If you'd like an update on the scale, I just recently had one. I can send over what it's been for like the last 3-4 years, if you'd like that
What's the
trend.
census now? You know?
I'd
I
have
know
to
you're
say-
filling in, but
I'd have to say probably 190, around there is the last time I checked. The finishing of the build-out of D and F for a hopeful opening in the next couple, and I say couple months, so 6 months within that time frame, hopefully, so that unit can be fully opened.
well, I
For-
believe we were gonna have our audit and finance committee meeting on the budget for the nursing home out there. What is it called now?
It's not. the new
Shaker
name is
Place
Shaker
Nursing
It's
and
not the Pepsi Center,
Rehabilitation
right?
Is that
Center.
the Knickerbocker? That was good, you're not from here.
Nursing and Rehabilitation.
Okay, any questions from members? Motion?
Motion.
Mr. Joyce, second. Mr. Clay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thanks a lot for stepping in. Mental health, number 13, amending the 2019 Department of Mental Health Budget Administrative Adjustments. Doctor.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. You've taught me to start with the magic word, so I'll just say this item is a 100% state-funded item. It is increasing the Albany County Mental Health Department's budget by $155,000. The money is earmarked for the Albany Citizens Council of Albany to increase their budget. They'll be providing some adjunct addiction services at the jail with this money.
Questions from members? Motion? Mr. Joyce, second. Mr. Bergdorf, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That's right, 100% non-counter. Number 14, authorizing the renewal of a grant agreement with the New York State Office of Children and Family Services for the Children's Advocacy Center.
Mr. Chairman, thanks for having me. I'm stepping in for the commissioner who was unable to make it. This is a grant from OCFS. I think it's annually $69,000 for the Child Fatality Review Team. Obviously a very necessary function which informs DCYF and all its activities. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the Safe Sleep Initiative and things of that nature. That kind of informs not only the employees when they go out to visit homes and do early intervention activities, but also the public awareness campaigns that DCYF puts on. some of the questions from, I believe, this was on the agenda for another meeting, related to coordination, and DCYF does do a fair amount of coordination with other community-based organizations that are interacting with the youth
Mike, what's the amount for again?
It's a total of 348, and then it'll be a disbursement of 69,637 for a period of 5 years. Thank you.
5 years. All right, so it's coming off 100% to the state.
Yes.
Questions, members, motion?
Motion.
Mr. Joyce, second. Mr. Clay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, thank you.
Thank you.
15, authorizing agreement with the Capital District Transportation Committee regarding grant funding and amending the 2019 Department of Public Works budget. Mr. Lindo, Commissioner.
Hi, I'm here to request accepting $2,500 from the Capital District Transportation Committee into our budget for the purchase of reflective wristbands. They're going to say, stop at the curb, look left, right, left. They're going to cost approximately $1.30 a piece, and they're going to be distributed throughout the rest of the year by our traffic safety coordinator at various events that he holds throughout the county.
Which side of the road to walk on?
Basically, it's about reflectivity. So there have been a lot of car accidents with pedestrians being hit at night, and so it's to curb that situation. Curb the situation. Left, right, left.
Questions? Mr. Grimm?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is there any evidence that wearing these bands actually helps? I mean, is there data that says if you wear a band, we're going to have less accidents?
You know, I'm not aware. I'm sure there probably is, and I'd be glad to look into that for you and present it. But I know just in my own neighborhood, there's a lot of dog walkers late at night, and they wear reflective bands, sometimes reflective jackets, and lights on their dogs, and it's truly a major safety improvement.
No, I understand the
But I
value
don't
of
know.
reflective clothing, but a single wristband.
Because
So, some of this is, come from the well-publicized, sorry, Mr. Chairman, thank you, the well-publicized accidents that have happened on the Central Avenue corridor. A few of those accidents were attributed to lack of visibility, and given the fact that we're involved in pedestrian safety activities, that's why we pursued the grant. We actually came, I think, last month to ask permission to apply for the $5,000, and we got $2,500.
No, I understand the value of reflective material. I'm wondering if a little band will do it as opposed to, say, wearing something around your waist or something like that. I don't know. I just wonder if there's any data that a band itself is going to help.
I can look into that. I think that we looked at the bands more for the economics of it, being able to distribute them to more people throughout the county. But
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, other questions, Mr. Bergdorf?
Move it.
Motion?
Move it.
Mr. Bergdorf, second, Mr. Grimm, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, thank you.
thank you.
Your Honor, you're up. Number 16, authorizing an agreement with the New York State Office of Indigent Legal Services regarding the statewide expansion of the hiring settlement and amending the 2019 county budget by Mr. Ansett. You can correct me.
No, not at all. You guys got two important things to talk about.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Sherry Brooks and I are here. I'm Stephen Herrick, Albany County Public Defender. Sherry Brooks and I are here tonight to seek authorization of an agreement between Albany County and the New York State Office of Indigent Legal Services relative to statewide expansion of the 2014 settlement agreement in Harrell versus Herring, and further to amend the Albany County 2019 budget in order to accommodate the agreement. This, if I can give you a little tiny bit of history, this goes back to 1963, where the United States Supreme Court unanimously held that the states are responsible for providing legal representation to indigent defendants in criminal cases. New York State, as well as many other states, ignored that. New York State ignored it until 2014, when 5 counties, not including Albany County, sued the state. And there was a settlement agreement that was not appealed in Harrell versus Herring. And the New York State Attorney General was obviously part of that settlement agreement, which indicated that the state would be responsible for the expansion and improvement of legal representation for indigent defendants in criminal cases in those 5 counties. Shortly thereafter, here in Albany County, the county executive, Dan McCoy, tasked his executive team to draft proposed legislation to expand Harrell Herring here in New York State. And Pat Fahey, Albany Assembly member, sponsored that bill. I believe it was passed unanimously in both houses of the legislature and then vetoed by Governor Cuomo. In 2017, in the governor's budget bill, he included most of the elements of the Fahey legislation, except they excluded parental representation in family court proceedings. So it's limited to the criminal justice indigent defendants. That legislation was approved in 2017, and it set aside $250 million for statewide expansion. And we're here tonight for Albany's portion of that. It's $26.2 million of state aid to Albany County for improvements and expansion of the legal representation for indigent defendants in criminal proceedings.
When are we going to get the civil side done?
Well, we got to get the family court first. That's on a front burner, and I don't know whether, with all due respect, in my lifetime, which isn't that long, whether you're going to see that spread over to the civil side. But I think we're going to get to family court where it should be. It's mandatory representation, but the county's paying for family court, conflict defenders and public defenders and 18Bs, some of the 18Bs. But this, the bill here, or the agreement here, has been approved in negotiations between the county and New York State Office of Indigent Legal Services. At the time it went up to be reviewed internally at Indigent Legal Services, one aspect of this agreement was not detailed, and that was the 18B assigned counsel plan. The further agreement, discussions and agreement was reached on that issue, on that point, and it went to the state comptroller and the Division of Budget, where it was approved in substantial, full agreement with what was agreed to between the county and Indigent Legal Services. They changed some of the headings and things, but the amount of money, it's all state aid, it's nothing from the county, has come back, so those are the magic words. It's come back for your approval. The only amendment that we're seeking, I think, is a $30,000 split in a allocation that went initially to assigned counsel 18B for fees for services. Those are expert witnesses. For the first year, this is the first year of 5 years, the first year is actually up this coming Sunday. So it was evident that the assigned counsel plan did not need $50,000 for expert witnesses.
2 days.
But Sherry does. And so there was an agreement to split that. $20,000 would stay with 18B assigned counsel. That's administered by Judge Rosen, and $30,000 would be transferred on the county budget to the alternate public defender, Ms. Brooks' program. And we're seeking approval of this agreement, authorization for this agreement, and your support in front of the full legislature on April 8th.
Okay, so fiscally, we're okay. This is also going to the law committee. You're going to
This is going to law tomorrow.
Again tomorrow.
Right, I'll be back on time tomorrow instead of an hour early.
Questions from members? Mr. Grimm?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. it says the five-year deal is for 26 million, but the first year is 1.75 million. So it's apparent that there's going to be different levels of
It's
funding.
almost
each year.
doubled each year,
Why is that?
because that's how the state configured that our needs would grow and that we would be utilizing the money while they pay for the expansion of our programs.
Well, the number of indigents aren't going to double each year.
No,
So
but
why would the budget?
Well, it's not that they're doubling
Trying to
it
reduce
for the
case
number of people, they're doubling it so that we can provide the services that we need to the people we have.
The primary goal is to reduce caseload.
in Hurrell Herring, there's three elements of that, and one is caseload reduction. So we're hiring 11 new attorneys, or new staff members, a mix of attorneys and support staff. With this first year allocation, they have anticipated that we could need as many as 36 plus attorneys, new attorneys from our current funding level.
That's just his office.
In my office, between now and April 1 of 2024. I don't think that we're going to need that, and these numbers are reviewable and adjustable by the state, but they are there, they've been set aside, the money's been set aside, and it's not going to be subject to annual fiscal restraints or constraints at the state line.
Would this lessen our budgets? Because now we're getting this influx of 26 million to do with essentially what you folks do.
Not directly, it will not reduce the intention here is to improve and expand and to pay for that. Not, Albany County is supposed to maintain its current investment in indigent legal representation.
And what happens after 5 years?
5 years, this is a 5-year set aside, and the monies have been allocated for that. It would have to be continued by the state. Now, this is different from all other grants because it's based on a U.S. Supreme Court decision and an unappealed stipulation and settlement by the state Attorney General's office. And I believe that there may be some issues regarding how much in the future after April 1 of 2024 the state can afford, but they're going to have to continue to maintain an appropriate level of support for what they are expanding to up at least until April 1 of 2024. They will have to maintain that. It may be subject to litigation, but this isn't something where they can just, with a different party in office or a different governor in office, that they can just stop it.
Because the court's directing them to do it.
The court is directing that.
Unless there's a different court decision, yeah, they would still be responsible.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Berger?
Sort of Judge, a question sort of with the same nuance. Unusual for the state to make a 5-year funding commitment.
Yes.
What is the mechanism of that? I mean, because especially they're talking about the state facing major deficits in the next couple of years, and who knows how budget issues get resolved. And I know there are constitutional issues with non-appropriation clauses and binding further legislatures. Do you know how they do that?
I don't know how they do that, but
maybe our audit and
Yeah, it's just gonna be shifted over to other county, yeah.
I do.
They'll find the money.
I do
To
know that.
answer your question before, but why are they doubling it each year? Because that's the state fiscal.
No, that wasn't my
approach.
question. My question is,
It's,
we say we're getting
No,
26 million.
yeah,
We're ramping up as if we're getting 26 million. If 3 years from now, there's a $3 billion deficit in the state of New York, and there's a retrenchment program, okay? What actually, and I realize
there will
there's
be
a
new
Supreme
mandates
Court case.
placed on us in other areas, so, to generate the money for what's required by the court, so.
It's set
will be found.
aside. My understanding
No,
from
there's no
Office
answer
of
to-
Indigent Legal Services is that the money has been set aside, it
Yeah.
is there.
Yeah.
Armageddon maybe would, ended, but that's the only thing.
Okay, I was just curious as to the mechanism
The
of
same
how
way
they
that
do
the
that.
wall is gonna be funded, okay? Answer, any other questions? Motion?
Motion moved.
Mr. Joyce, second, Mr. Clay, all those in favor? Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Fingers crossed, you know? All right, 17, determination that the proposed regional biosolids facility project at the Albany County Water Purification District will not have a significant impact on the environment. Fire away.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We are
Getting
looking
there.
for, we're seeking approval for a seeker type 1 determination with a negative declaration.
Would you please explain, you're just subject to appointment or what?
Yes, as of tonight, yes.
Okay, great.
It's official.
Introduce
It's
yourself,
official.
please.
Yes.
The camera's right back there.
Thank you. Angelo Gaudio, Executive Director for Albany County Water Purification District.
April 8th, okay.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. Yes, for 17, we are just seeking determination for, or approval for seeker type 1 determination with a negative declaration.
Questions from members?
Yeah.
Mr. Bergdorf?
I just want to point out that this is my idea of a seeker determination.
There was a lot of effort that went into that.
Obviously, and initially, for whatever reason, the county determined that this was going to be an unlisted action, and now we have at least what I see to be a real extensive seeker analysis, and I congratulate the Purification District for doing it in such a professional manner.
Good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. Any other questions? Motion, Mr. Bergdorf, second by Mr. Grimm. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Very good. All right, the next one you're on for is 18, bond regarding the regional biosolids facility project at the Albany County Water Purification District. How much is the bond?
$24,250,000.
Albany County.
Albany County, this is 50% of the expected cost of the project. Saratoga will be paying the other half of that, so we have a total project cost of $48.5 million.
So it's regional project. Any questions from members? Motion, Mr. Bergdorf,
So moved.
second. Mr. Grimm, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Okay, you're 2 for 2. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Got a good record going here. Okay, Mr. McLaughlin, we're gonna do the next ones. You gonna do a bunch of these? 19, authorizing the conveyance of real property, 443 North Pearl Street.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, so this is our first foray into the new disposition plan, which is working out very nicely, so thank you to all the members that worked on it. The local municipality has been notified of this potential transfer. It has been advertised in the paper, should there be any objectors. This is probably our first foray into the economic development side of the transfers as outlined in the disposition plan. Does anybody have any questions? I can kind of go into the details of what, if you'd like, but I don't want to bore folks.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a little different, Mike, in that the appraisal was $120,000, the sale price was $90,000, so could you just explain that?
Yep, so this property does present some unique challenges, as all properties do, as you've heard me say over and over again. Sorry to be a broken record. The biggest challenge with this property is that there is no floor. You open up the front door and you'll go right into the basement. The previous owner found it to be appropriate to remove that floor. You'd have to ask him why. I don't know why, but it will be significant cost to put the floor back in. The limitations of accessing the building cause the appraisal to not necessarily take certain considerations into account. There are also possible structural issues because some lintels, if that's the correct terminology, over the windows and doors are cracked. So in consideration of those things, my understanding is the reasoning for that offer amount is in consideration of those factors.
Thank you. Ms. Willingham?
Yes, I have some simple concerns. North Albany is becoming inundated with bars and, other types of establishments. It's moving right into, on North Pearl Street, into the residential area, okay? And so, I think that this was the old Roxy Cleaners too. It just,
There are some potential environmental concerns associated with the property, yeah.
and I don't know, this is Mr. Pierce? Is that his name?
His name is Jason Pierce, yes. Apparently, he's the owner of Savoy Tap Room.
Yeah, I would just like to have some kind of, conversation with Mr. Pierce. I understand that, he's paying back taxes, and I also somewhat understand maybe the concerns with the building itself,
Would you like to make a motion to set this aside?
No,
Or,
I think that, depending upon what I can hear from now until,
the meeting on April, okay?
that, I will go forward with it only if I get the answers to some.
So, okay. Is that okay? You can help facilitate that?
Yes, Legislator Willingham and I have touched base, and I think her concerns are more than legitimate. So, yeah, we'll address all those, and if not, then I think it's more than appropriate to send it back to committee and deal with it that way.
So if this was a Roxy, so there is potential hazardous materials?
As you always hear me say, there is potential, unverified. I do not, the commissioner doesn't allow me to put the county in a position of taking ownership of such potentials.
Chairman, a number of the members of the Minority Caucus have reviewed this, and there's some concern because although there is an appraisal for $120,000, that appraisal was dated November 30th, 2018. There's an analysis by the bidder as to how, or maybe why the appraisal is $120,000, and he's justifying why he should just pay $90,000. Now, the bidder may, in fact, be entirely correct as that it's worth only $90,000, but at the same time, it would seem logical that the appraiser who has now signed his or her name, Michael, I guess, Mura, to this appraisal should be given a chance to go back to review this location and to modify his appraisal accordingly or to hold by his numbers. So our members do not know if in fact they're permitting a $90,000 transfer for a $90,000 property, because on paper right now it's a $90,000 transfer and a $120,000 appraisal.
That was a pretty recent appraisal too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was at the end of last year. I actually, with all due respect, I understand the concern, but we transferred properties to receivers for lower than appraised value as recently as last month.
I understand, but the reality.
So are you saying that maybe the appraiser didn't know that the floor was missing? That they did not go inside the building or something?
As to why the appraisal is different.
I don't have the appraisal in front of me.
The bidder is saying, well, actually, it's the first time.
Well, the bidder, I mean, how many bidders are there?
So there's a couple factors going on
Whatever
here.
someone's willing to, it's worth.
So there's a couple factors going on here. It is my understanding that this individual had interest in the property prior to foreclosure, and during that time had gained access to the property and was pursuing a private sale with the individual upon whom we foreclosed. So there's that factor. In addition to the fact, I'm able to verify most of the things that he alleges by having our DGS folks do as much of an inspection of the property as they can. And an offer below appraised value is certainly within the purview of the legislature to accept, as we've done with Jace Court, we just did with a property in the south end. So I'm not sure what value having an amended appraisal does.
All right, can we move this and then resolve this before April 8th? Ms. Willingham has concerns, Minority has concerns through Minority Council.
For clarification.
What exactly are you
Members are not
asking?
looking for an amended appraisal, but in fairness to the appraiser.
Yeah, so what are you asking for?
In fairness to the appraiser should be able to look, actually, the documentation is before the board committee today.
What cost would
and
that
say,
be?
yes, I agree, but I stand by my number, or no, I don't.
Well, the problem is, like, so even if he stands by his number,
Well, that's fine, the committee can absolutely.
then we've
pass
still
out
got
selling it
a bidder at 90,000. That doesn't bring their bid up, right?
That does
So-
not, but as a professional who has to sign attorney opinion letters, and this is an individual who's now signed his name to a document that evidently people are saying he didn't access it, which just seems strange to me that he didn't.
He did or he did not access the...
Yes, he visited the property, he's required to visit the property, contacts Department of General Services to do so.
inside.
Yes, well, as much as you could, yes.
What does that mean?
There's no floor.
Well, the bidder indicates that, the appraisal says that he viewed the first floor through an opening from an adjacent property. Another paragraph says that he did a complete interior and
He did
exterior
not-
inspection, and he's guessing that it's the
But wait,
first.
he signed his name to this.
But this is somebody else, this is the bidder critiquing the appraisal's work. I think the appraiser should have an opportunity to respond.
So
And
my question was the appraiser inside?
We don't know.
I would actually, I don't understand the value of getting into a debate between a potential purchaser of a property that has potential environmental issues and an appraiser. Appraised values on the real estate market, properties are sold for above or below those values all the time. And this is a conversation that Legislator Willingham and I had, and I still agree that we should answer all questions that are made, but the moral of the story is that there are two options here. We've held this property for a while now, and we've been approached by somebody who has a proven track record, at least with another commercial property in the county, so we could.
How long is this offer on the table for, is 90,000?
I don't know.
How much time do we have to resolve this?
Well, I don't know. That wasn't part of the
Well,
conversation.
we have
had.
at least until April 8th, we know that.
Right, and-
So can we move ahead with this and try to resolve this before
Yes.
the monthly meeting?
That's
Well,
fine.
I know it's okay with you, is that all right with you?
Yes, it is, and another reason too is, we have a lot of property that's going back and forth in North Albany. I just went through that building on Broadway. I think the man's name is Mr. O'Brien. That the old Argus building or something.
Yes.
Between 90 and 120.
And,
Yep.
I do know that that is the old Roxy Cleaners.
I don't know who
This
it
building
is.
is.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
My concern is that,
Frank were there.
you know, if the county can get 90,000, that's one thing. But the other thing is, too, I just like to know, you know, what the use for the building is going to be and what kind of benefit it can be to the residents,
Yep.
you know, in the area.
Well, if there's potential hazardous materials, there's a limited use for the building.
Not if you don't.
Yes,
Right.
potentially, yes.
What would the members of the committee like to do? Do we have any suggestions? You
I'd
want-
like to move it to the
Move?
floor and then.
Well, we do have a minority member willing to move
Want
this.
Thank you.
Want it?
All right, so let's,
What do you want to do? You want to do?
So, well, yeah, one wants to move it. but subject to
Yes.
answers to
I-
everybody's satisfaction.
I would also like to perhaps have you facilitate a dialogue between the two appraisers and see if there's any,
There's only one
The
appraiser.
buyer and the appraiser.
the buyer and the,
Oh.
or have the appraiser, whatever.
Based on a conversation.
All right, Ms.
Or
Willingham is
maybe-
moving it, seconded by Mr. Grimm. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, let's try to get this resolved,
Yep.
otherwise, you know, somebody can make a motion to pull it. Unanimous for now. Okay. Mike, I hope the others are a little quicker than that one. 20, authorizing
Mike
the
knows.
refund of real property taxes in the town of Bern. You get to come for the good stuff.
Yeah,
the
Mr.
refunds,
Chairman, I'll
right?
try to keep it a little more brief than the last one there. This is a request from the town of Bern. There was a reassessment done on the property. It was incorrectly entered into the the valuation system, so the assessment roll was processed incorrectly. This is a refund to get them back to what should have been paid originally.
How much?
$2,050.
Motion?
Move
Mr.
it.
Clay, second, Mr. Berg, no, Mr. Grimm, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Next one is for refund in Bethlehem.
This is actually, the letter was incorrect. This is a refund from the town of Clemens.
Clemens?
Yeah, the cover letter was incorrect, listed Bethlehem. This one had the wrong parcel ID on it when it was processed, so just another clerical error. Ended up being that the taxpayer ended up paying their school roll twice. So this is to refund the second payment of the school roll. This was for $2,117.
Is there any way we can deal with all these technical corrections and?
It would be at
other
the
than
town
piecemeal
level.
There is
basis,
not.
That we could No?
It's at the town level,
They
they
just
give
seem to
us
be
the
coming
rules.
in month
Yes.
after month after month.
And
never-
I know, like, last month, you had a.
Like, we just had Mr. Connors in to do one meeting to clean up the whole end of year, you know,
Yeah.
why can't we do that with these?
The only thing that could happen is on the legislative side of things is one resolution to authorize all of them that are received in 1 month, but beyond that, they come into the municipalities on a rolling basis, so there's no way to, I'm sorry, there's no way to do that.
Okay, yeah, because we don't object, it's just,
I know.
all right, let's think about that. Motion for Queens, Mr. Bergdorf, second by Mr. Clay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so now we're on to 22, amending resolution number 40 for 2019 regarding administrative adjustments to the 2019 Commissioner, Albany County budget.
Sorry about this,
This is your job we're talking about here?
What's that?
An administrative adjustment to your job?
No, unfortunately. The original was passed by it's in resolution number 40. When we were drafting that, I left out the correcting entry to balance the funds. It's not a large sum there, I believe it's 11,000 on each side of the equation, and it balances it out. Apologize for that.
So moved.
Bergdorf, motion, second, Ms. Willingham, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous. Okay, I think this is the last one, because we did 24, right? 23, amending resolution number 64 for 2019 regarding the Child Right Safe Harbor Initiative.
I can do this one.
Brandon?
It's been brought to our attention that Resolution 64 needs to be corrected to properly reflect the budget amendment. This amendment would make that correction.
Questions, anybody?
$1,000
Nick?
amendment, it's fine.
Okay,
So we fixed.
thank you. Motion, please, Mr. Clay, second, Mr. Graham, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, thank you. Motion to adjourn? Mr. Graham, all right. Good night, thank you, everybody.